Today I get the pleasure of moderating with a dear friend of mine who I get to work with and collaborate with quite often, as I am a part of the board for this particular adventure, and I'm not going to spoil it, I will let her get into it. But I will give her an opportunity to just do a quick introduction and we will get started.
All right, there we go, now it's on. All right, so hi all, I'm Mariah Hanley. I am the manager of the Office of Military and Veteran Legal Assistance. Before we start, did everyone get a little QR code thing? Yes, great, okay. If you didn't get one, Ian has them in the back that have the QR code for the actual survey I'll be talking about. You don't need it during the presentation, but if you want it later. It's also on our website. All right, so I'm going to be talking today about the Civil Legal Needs Survey that we recently released. If you have existed in Washington over the last 2 years, you probably got an email about it. Or took some candy a couple years ago. Or got harassed about it a couple years ago by us. All right, so I have been at the Attorney General's office for almost 3 years now. I'm the manager of the Office of Military and Veteran Legal Assistance. I'll talk a little more about what we do here in just a sec. But prior to this, I worked at Northwest Justice Project, assisting low-income veterans with VA benefits. I also worked at National Veterans Legal Services Program for a short period. I have experience advocating for veterans trying to get VA benefits, appeals, pretty much all the things we were talking about in the last session. That was my jam for many years. I also worked with homeless and women veterans at the Seattle VA. And then I graduated UW Law in 2016, go Huskies, I guess. All right, so I just realized I can't really see my own. All right, so OMVA, we'll talk more about exactly like how to get a hold of us later. But the Office of Military and Veteran Legal Assistance was established in 2017. It was at the request of the Attorney General, and it assists low and median income families, which is up to 500% of the federal poverty level, to get access to civil legal services. So what this means is that we help people get, we send people self-help advice about how to fill out their child support worksheets, for example, or how to fill out a divorce or power of attorney. We connect people with legal aid organizations in their area. Or what we do a lot of is connect people directly with attorneys, pro bono attorneys, volunteer attorneys, to provide 30 to 60 minutes of legal advice. So we have about 150 attorneys on our volunteer roster at this point. If you know any attorneys that are looking for great pro bono opportunities, send them our way. And we also attend state events statewide, including stand-downs. Ian will be at the Clark County stand-down in September. We host legal clinics. We'll be hosting a clinic in November at the Seattle VA, a Wills clinic. And then we provide trainings like this one, develop resources and encourage policy changes. Anybody who attended my training last year knows that we helped develop the new definition of veteran in Washington, for example. All right, so who asks for our help? We have received over 370 requests so far in 2025. Probably gonna end up being slightly lower than last year because we reached out to 2,000 veterans last year for the survey. But we're still doing pretty good. And the team is me and Ian. So we're a very small but mighty team. Over 65% of the cases that we send to attorneys are accepted for free attorney advice. So, attorneys across the board want to help vets. Most of our cases that we send out do get accepted by attorneys for advice. And over a third of requests are for help with family law. That is probably not surprising to anybody that has talked to a vet that has some sort of family law issue. It is a massive issue for every single vet, pretty much, that, pretty much people across the board in our survey said that it was the most prevalent issue for vets. And we'll talk more about exactly sort of what vets said was the most prevalent issue. All right, so the survey itself, we did a survey. The report was just released in about almost a month ago exactly now, and we did the survey and then wrote the report because there's been a really substantial increase in legal needs over the last several years. This is across the board. This is not just for veterans. The last survey for veterans was completed in 2018 by our office, and we know that since then the needs have changed. COVID, affordability, just so many changes. The PACT Act, increased availability of legal services because the VA is now funding legal services. There's just been so many changes that we thought would likely affect the availability of legal aid, services, benefits, etc., as well as housing changes in state law. There were many different reasons we thought it was an appropriate time to do this survey. And our survey goals were, first of all, we really wanted to focus on statewide outreach. And as we'll see here, I think we did a pretty good job at that. There's only two of us, but we tried to do the best we could to get out to as many places as possible, to reach out to libraries and VSOs and community organizations across the state. We really wanted to focus on plain language, so we did not want to be the survey that asked things in legalese. We wanted the questions to be understandable for the clients who we were sending it out to. Do you have any legal problems with your landlord? For example, that might include, and then gave examples. And then we wanted the results of the survey to provide helpful information to everyone, not just legal aid providers. We didn't want it to just be something that legal aid could look at and be like, we need to prioritize in this area. We wanted to be able to say, here's how veterans are getting their information. Here is, what you could do in your local community. All right, so getting to what the actual results of the survey were, the top 3 legal issues statewide, and so, going back here for just a sec. We analyzed data both statewide, and then we also looked at each region here. And the reason that we did it regionally is because a lot of the legal aid organizations and social service organizations generally, but legal aid, focus on regional assistance. And so we broke it down regionally, and this was a map that we found from Philanthropy Northwest. But we focused on regions and analyzed by region and then also by statewide. All right, the top 3 legal issues statewide, and this is for everybody analyzed across everything. Number 1, as we might have heard in the plenary this morning, problems applying for or appealing denials of VA benefits. Just under a third of veterans had an issue with problems applying for or appealing denials of VA benefits. This was also a top problem in the North Puget Sound region, Northwest region, and the Peninsula and coastal regions. And this was not a surprise to us. This was not something that we didn't see coming. We know that veterans have a hard time getting access to VA benefits. We know that this is a challenge that veterans face. We know the system is confusing. We know people have a hard time getting through these systems like we've heard a lot about already today. So this was not a surprise to us. Really, none of these were a surprise to us, honestly. The second one would be legal problems at the end of a job. This one, again, like all of these are about a third, is retaliation, layoff, firing, receiving final wages. Again, these were all, many of these issues were also top issues in regions distributed statewide, which I thought was interesting. None of these issues were just urban issues or just rural issues. They all had issues that sort of spanned statewide. And then the last one is legal problems with the landlord. To absolutely nobody's surprise, housing issues were a top issue in the state. And then again, this was one that was statewide. To anybody that has lived in King County, unsurprisingly, here in North Sound. All right, so then I'm gonna go over a couple of like spotlights that we did. The first thing is that we looked at housing, we looked at homelessness. We knew this was going to be a substantial issue, and it was, of course. So, going back and looking at that regional map, providers in 6 of 9 regions said that homelessness and housing affordability was the number 1 most prevalent issue in their community. In the other 3 regions, it was the second most prevalent issue. Like, this is an issue. We know it's an issue. Homelessness, housing affordability, trying to get access to additional housing for veterans, for service members, for their families. We know it's a problem. And we've made recommendations that I'm not going to go over, but they're in the report, about trying to sort of improve access to housing through some just sort of smaller recommendations that may over time improve that. And then the second thing that we wanted to focus on is that we had about 600 responses total, and 32 people responded that experienced homelessness in the last year. And we did the best we could to find people who maybe had experienced homelessness based on our outreach, but it's just a harder population to reach. However, of those, one thing that we found was really interesting was that there was no overlap with their top 3 issues compared to the top 3 legal issues statewide. And the percentage of people that had the issue, the percentage of respondents who'd experienced homelessness was just so much higher. Like 85% of people had problems with a public benefit other than VA benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. 75% issues with Medicaid. Like, the prevalence of people that had these issues was just so much higher than it was for typical, for the other issues. Issues with basic food benefits, and then debt collection, garnishment, and repossession. And these issues align to some extent with the National Challenge Survey as well, in which usually, I think 7 out of 10 top 10 unmet legal needs of homeless veterans top 10 unmet needs of homeless veterans are legal in nature. And that's pretty consistent year over year. It ranges between like 6 to 8 each year. The second spotlight is families with children. So about a third of the respondents had minor children. Interestingly, family law issues were really prevalent for service providers, like really super prevalent. We heard about it a lot, but it wasn't quite as prevalent for community members, surprisingly, which is shocking to us, as a third of our cases are family law cases. I feel like we constantly get family law cases, and yet we didn't hear that it was like the most prevalent issue for, divorce, for example, didn't come up as one of the top 3 legal issues statewide, which was surprising to us. So of parents that have children of any age, about 20% have issues paying or receiving child support. But child support was one of the top 3 most prevalent issues for providers in 8 of 9 regions. Like, the sort of disparity between what providers said about family law and what service providers, community members said, and then what we see that people request for us, I thought that was a really interesting disparity looking at it. Parenting plans, again, was another one where it was a really super prevalent legal issue for providers in every single region. And when we asked people to provide the narrative, like, in your opinion, what is the biggest unmet legal issue? Give us your, opinion about what it is. More than a dozen people said parenting plans. That was it. Parenting plans is the biggest issue. Custody, parenting plans. However, just under 20% of people who answered it reported problems. So, which is, 1 in 5, but not to the same level as providers said. All right, and then as I brought up in the last session, we also wanted to spotlight incarcerated veterans. So we had a visit to Stafford Creek last year. Thanks to Tim at WDVA for helping us set this up, by the way. Would not have been possible without him. 6 of 11 veterans that we spoke with, we had veterans fill out a survey, I will say. Most of them were incomplete, So a lot of the information that we got was anecdotal. It was good to have just sort of one-on-one conversations with these vets and hear about their experiences. But 6 of the 11 veterans that we spoke with who had tried to get VA benefits had problems applying for them or appealing for benefits. They had problems trying to get to exams. They, couldn't get a hold of the VA. They couldn't get to a phone. They could get to a phone, but they only have a limited amount of time at the phone. They have to send everything through mail. The mail gets lost. It takes so long. Like, we just issue after issue after issue with getting veterans access to benefits. We heard about, overpayments, like Steve mentioned before. It's less of an issue than it was several years ago, a couple of the veterans said, but they'll go into prison, their benefits won't be cut off, and then suddenly they'll have a massive overpayment when they get out, and the VA will cut their benefits off to pay it back. So suddenly they're not getting any benefits. So that was one that we said, we saw as just something that deserved to be spotlighted because, it creates stability when veterans get out of prison to have benefits and be in a good place. All right, outreach. So much candy, so much candy, so many emails. You all might have gotten one of these bags several years ago at Serving Those Who Served. I found out pretty quick that Twizzlers smell, like even in the bags, they smell, and I don't like the smell of Twizzlers. And my car smelled like Twizzlers for literal weeks. I hate Twizzlers, let's just be really clear, I hate them.
You got that.
Won't do that again.
Never again. My mom's like, oh, but you like licorice. I'm like, I like grapevines. I don't like Twizzlers. There's a difference. All right, so survey timeline. So we decided to split this up into 2 different surveys. One, because there's exactly 2 of us, and we wanted to be reasonable to ourselves. 2, because we really thought that it would be a good idea to get a sense of what service providers saw as the most prevalent issues. I think that, I don't remember exactly how many issues that service provider survey had, but there was a lot of issues on that service provider survey. And then we used what we found there and our own experience and issues that came to us a lot and narrowed it down to 45 issues that we asked community members about. So the service provider survey went out to 675 providers in summer 2023. We also distributed it to you all here. We posted flyers. We did a lot of outreach. Then in summer 2024, we did a lot more outreach. Summer 2024 was like the summer of outreach. We sent more than 3,200 emails to providers and community members, and we posted flyers. And if you, we'll talk more about that, but if you see a flyer anywhere in your community, please feel free to take it down and throw it away. And then in fall 2024, we did the data analysis, revised, finalized report, a lot of bureaucracy right in that middle center there, and then released it, and then we sent it out to all of the service providers that we sent it to in summer 2024. All right, hi Chuck. Hi Chuck, that's in Stoughton County. Hi Chuck. We sent out the survey to everyone who might interact with veterans. So a giant shout out to librarians who responded. Love our librarians, they massively responded to it. They had a slight bit of offense that we didn't have a specific category for librarians because they were just in the other category. They were not all that happy about that. I didn't think they were gonna respond quite at the level they did. We distributed 180 bags of candy. We handed out flyers anywhere we could. I literally just drove through Stoughton County and stopped at like every single place that was open between Spokane and Stoughton County to drop off flyers for the survey in summer 2023, and then I also had the chance to go hang out with Chuck for a day. All right. Community member outreach last summer. We sent out the survey to 2,200 service providers. If anyone wants a list of every single American Legion, VFW, Rotary Club, anything else I'm missing?
Lions Club?
Lions, I think we might have those too. Yeah, yep.
The Elks.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Pretty much any club that we could think of. Every library, every school, not every elementary school, every like college. We probably have a list. Every library, we have a list. If you want them, let us know. We'd love to make use of them. We emailed over 1,000 people who had requested help from OMBLA since 2018. That's why our numbers were so high last year, because they all of them requested help again. And then we posted flyers statewide, and we asked you to post it. This was us down at the Burger King in Aberdeen. I did ask Ian if I could include this photo. I'm not that mean. All right, survey respondents. We had 313 service providers respond and 665 community members. We are really excited about the 665 community members. We literally had a little, I should have included the photo. We literally had a little whiteboard in my office that we updated every day, every time we got more people, with the like running total of how many people we had respond. All right, service providers. For demographics, over 50% of people who responded work for either a nonprofit or a government agency. 12% work for legal aid. About 1 in 5 provided services statewide. So like I did with the issues, we also identified, we said, where do you work? Do you provide services statewide? Do you provide services in one or more counties? And then we broke it down there. And then more than a quarter of the people who did not work statewide worked in King County, which was something we realized for summer 2024 is that we needed to do more outreach outside King County, which was something we focused on. All right, population, so outreach for survey respondents. First, so for population, the majority of the people who responded to us were veterans. The remainder were family, which was mostly spouses or surviving spouses. We had a couple of like brother, children, etc. And then we had very few service members. We tried very hard to get a hold of the military. I walked into one of the recruiting offices go ahead.
Please finish your sentence.
Oh yeah, I walked into one of the recruiting offices and literally just like handed them my flyers and was like, please take these.
Cool.
Yeah.
How's that, honorable COS?
Characterization of service.
Thank you.
Yeah, so 94% of veterans respondents had an honorable characterization of service. The rest of them were kind of across the board with the other characterizations of service.
Are you guys doing discharge upgrades for them?
We didn't get names. It was a completely anonymous survey. But if people send us requests for discharge upgrades, we try to find places where they can go for help. So, yeah.
Is there a way to get that list? I mean, I'm doing the DD 149s in my office and then trying to get all the information, but if somebody with a better legal background than me,
We're all pointing to Caitlin right there, because Caitlin's the person. Yeah, I'm gonna just throw.
We just got a higher workload, Caitlin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got her presentation so that she
I
can
think I
read
got
it.
like 20 or 30.
Okay, who is Caitlin and where does she work for?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm in Northwest Justice Project.
DJB, okay.
Yeah, and
Oh, you
JP.
guys are on the east side.
Oh, we can talk.
They're statewide. They do statewide.
JP is statewide, so we
Yeah.
can.
But I need a card.
I need to look
You know
and see
the
if I
west
got
is
it.
on the other side of the mountain, right?
What was that?
It's
You know the
called
west is on the other side.
I do. You do have a Spokane office.
Okay.
There's a lot of offices. There's one in Omaha.
What's your phone number?
206-464-1519.
Oh, I can't
That sounds great.
What is it? 08.
That's the main NJP phone number, but it's 206-464-1519.
That's not a Spokane number.
Nope, that's a King County number.
We have a question.
I have a question regarding this, upgrades. We're from Vancouver, so we're Southwest Washington. We get brushed to the side a lot because we're part of the Portland visit. So as far as Washington State goes, we get brushed aside all the time. Who would I contact in Clark County for an upgrade? We have 3 VSOs in the entire county working right now, they're 6 to 7 months behind, so they're not able to do upgrades. Who do I reach out to in Southwest Washington? Because we can't send them to Oregon, which is right across the river.
We have a Vancouver office, but they don't do just, like, we can kind of talk about, I'm happy to talk more about it when it's not your time. I can stick around in the back.
Thank you.
And talk, I think discharge upgrades are
That's huge.
my life, so I'm
Oh,
happy to
okay.
talk about it and kind of figure, kind of get in there, so.
There's also a national
You're our
list.
new best friend.
Next year, I'd like my own presentation, I don't want to just dovetail on Mariah's anymore.
I love discharge upgrades. This is our jam, is discharge upgrades. I can't do them, I can't represent people, but I would affect it. But there's also a national list created by Swords to Plowshares of organizations that take discharge upgrade claims. 206-464-151. Caitlin?
Last four again.
1519. 19. Caitlin is going to be in the back. I'm volunteering her for this to talk to you all about discharge upgrades. I don't want to volunteer her too much, is why I'm saying it quickly. But Caitlin, I'm sure, will be very happy to talk to you. Caitlin, right there. She's waiting.
Caitlin.
Yes. I'm sure she's really happy with me right now.
I'm sure my boss is really happy with you right now.
Yeah, you know, Adam, I'm sure, is going to miss. Adam is her boss, and I used
Make
to
sure
work.
he watches this recording later.
Yeah. Sorry, Adam. Sorry, not sorry. All right. Anyway, moving right along here. 92% of family respondents were spouses or surviving spouses. All right, location. We, as you can see, a lot of people responded in King County. This is pretty consistent. We received responses from 35 to 39 counties for community members. Garfield, Columbia, Walla Walla, surprisingly. Don't know why we didn't get any in Walla Walla. They tend to send us a lot of requests for legal assistance. And Adams County. Ian, is it Garfield County? Okay, is anybody here from Garfield County? Okay. If anybody knows a veteran in Garfield County that needs legal assistance, please send them our way. We've literally never gotten a case, and I'm just going to like put this out there right now. Literally, we just need one.
I represent Garfield County.
Okay, so you're my new best friend.
Well, you know where my office is.
I know, but you need to send us a case. Just one. Just one would be great. It literally was on my list of goals for the year.
I'll loan you ones.
Hey, I'm up here. I'm gonna take my. Yeah, hey, I'm up here. I'm gonna take my chance. Yeah. All right. 20% of survey respondents live in King County, but that's pretty consistent with the actual statewide numbers, according to the census from a couple years ago, where 18% of all Washington veterans live in King County. All right, gender and sexuality. So, over 65% of respondents were men or cisgender men, which is lower than the actual 2022 American Community Survey. Just over 32% said they were a woman or cisgender woman. And then the rest of it just sort of spanned the other genders that we. Sexuality, about 7% of veterans respondents identified as LGBTQIA+. The rates of that really varied by age group, which was pretty consistent with national results. So, younger individuals were more likely to say that they were LGBTQIA, much less likely as you got older, which was really consistent with national results for civilians. Right, access to justice. This is in here for WDBA because David specifically asked me to include it. How do veterans find resources? They go to you all. Seriously, they go to you all. Like across the board, for every age group, they go to veterans groups or VSO for information about resources. That is how veterans hear about us, according to our OMVLA data, is veterans groups, VSOs, their local county. That is our #1 referral source as well. Social media is another one. People under 35 are twice as likely to go to social media as people over 65, unsurprisingly. Conversations with other people, word of mouth, and then the VA hospital clinic crisis line. 28% of vets over 65 got information from newspapers, news media sites, news websites. That is twice the percentage of those under 65. We also specifically had the radio as an option because somebody on my team thought that people got a lot of news from the radio. Unsurprisingly, they do not. I literally think like 3 people said they get news primarily from the radio. I'm sorry if you're one of those 3 people. All right, do veterans get the legal help they need? No. I figured I had to actually kind of go more into that slide. All right, so we asked people if they had a legal issue, and you tried to get legal help, did you get the legal help you needed? 27% of people who tried to get legal help or address their legal help got the legal help they needed. This is a really depressing statistic. We hate it. About 56% of people who experienced a legal problem tried to solve it. That increased to like 2/3 for family law, but only like less than 1/3 of those were able to actually, receive the help that they needed. About 40% of people tried to address the legal issue by talking directly with the other party. And these were options like, I tried to talk directly to the other party. I tried to go to a lawyer. I went to a legal aid organization. I Googled things. Over half of people who tried to get help said that it was hard or very hard. Those who didn't try to get help said that it wouldn't make a difference, was too stressful, or they didn't know where to go. The title of this presentation, I can't get any help. The end of that was, I'm pretty much screwed, nobody wants to help me. But it was too long to include the entire title there. And that was a quote from somebody when we asked, for some other reason, why are you not able to get help? Yes.
My name is Robert. I represent, I still do actually represent Pearl Harbor. When I was a national commander, the amount of phone calls, and this leads to this, but it's other things that I got was veterans looking for the help and not having representation when it comes to court. So you have your family in court, which obviously addresses the family members going to use the veterans, that goes for child support, but there's nobody there to advise the veteran. And we tried to get this nationally, but it was a lot harder. So I thought I'd go local. What we really need as veterans is a friend of the veteran advisor, someone who knows that specific law that they're in, so that they would have that advice and have somebody, helping them, because a lot of the veterans that I've seen that I couldn't do anything for because my office was in DC and not in their state, was they pretty much give up. And so without having someone that would advise them, especially with the child support, our biggest thing was a lot of these veterans who just live off their disability, their child support was being garnished. Well, as we all know, your disability is based on your injury, and a portion of that is for the child because they got to put up, I tell people it's because they got to put up with their ass. So, but that's like anywhere from $25 to $40 per kid, but they're using your disability as an added source of income, which is not supposed to be done that way. And so this, this would have been helpful if they had an advocate at the court level to help the veterans be more successful and not having to put themselves in the rear, get jailed, or commit suicide. But believe it or not, as my 1 year as a national commander, I had 3 veterans commit suicide because their disability was being garnished improperly, and they had nobody to stand up for them, and they couldn't afford a lawyer because they're being garnished. So I think of one thing we need, and if it's out there, I'd like to know it so I can push it out everywhere else. But if we had like a friend of the veteran to help them be more successful and not want to go the bad route and just say, I'm out. Because at that point, you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting your family, you're hurting the kid, and then you literally take away that whole child support system that they had because the courts wanted to attack us. And the way I've seen it, courts are in for dollars. So for every dollar that they get from you out of your disability, they get so much more. And so they're not following the law properly. And I have emails that literally state how you're supposed to go through this process, but it's a state by state case. And so, is there any type of veteran, friends for a veteran here?
So it depends on the court, and not even just the state court. So Washington doesn't have like a unified court system.
Because I know we have veterans court now.
We have Veterans Court, but they're for criminal matters.
Technically, child support not paying it, they put you in jail, does become a criminal matter. So,
Yes, and they also can suspend your driver's license, yeah.
Which is the dumbest thing in the world, because I actually fought it and won. I do pay more, but the court saw when I wasn't working, and what I was making, they only awarded my ex-wife $50 a kid. I was like, I straight up told her she was the dumbest person I've ever met, because I would have given her more without having to advise the courts. But I'm like, well, you wanna be stupid, $150 is all you're getting. And so, but I still took care of my kids, but there's veterans who can't do that because you gotta take care of your own, your car, pay for other things, so that takes away, makes the veteran homeless, you know, goes to suicide. So, I'd like to work with you guys. I still do it at the national level. I'll be traveling back to DC, but if we can do a Veterans for the Court, or Friends for the Veterans for the court system, doesn't matter what it is, I think we'd be more successful and you would see a better increase with the veterans wanting to deal with shared stuff we do.
Yeah, so one thing I would say for like each individual state is look on, and I think it's on here, is look on lawhelp.org. And it's a place where you can go and look for legal aid options in the state where the veteran is too. And then many courts also have, well, at least in Washington, I don't know about other states, have family law facilitators as well that can help vets like anybody not just vets, fill out paperwork correctly and look over paperwork and get stuff filed correctly too. So I will say the legal aid systems, like legal services system, isn't great. It does not work very well. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't work very well for the people that need it. Like I'm not gonna be up here and be like, it works great. It doesn't work great. I was in legal services for many years. It doesn't work great. It does not serve everyone that it needs to. There's just not enough capacity. So like we know it. Yes.
Yeah, so I think the percentage, I think it's probably like a misconception, that's the right word to use. It's not that they're not getting help, it's just because there's no one there to help them. And this is a true story. Northwest project came to Everett, Washington. She was new, she was an Air Force veteran. I want to help veterans, so sent them to me. And within like 4 days, she was maxed out of her caseload. And then I called like a week later, it's like, hey, I got somebody else. She's like, I can't help anybody else, I'm already maxed out. I was like, you've been here 3 days. She's like, I know, it's crazy. So it's not that they aren't getting help or nobody cares about them or, you know, I'm out of luck. It's because there's not enough staff to help the people with them. So I can understand how the 20% is there, but we need more staff. And that goes to funding.
You're preaching with the choir, we need more staff here.
And I'm not trying to, I see veterans get upset and discouraged, and it's because no one's helping me. It's not because no one wants to, it's just no one's there to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, we absolutely want to. We just don't have the literal people to.
How many, how many people, veterans or family members of veterans are you guys working with right now?
On our caseload right now, we have 42. But that is people that we are like referring out because we don't provide direct legal services. We're not allowed to because of the state. But like we have 42 people on our caseload right now. So people we're trying to find legal assistance for.
I've referred some vets to the website, but I just never heard back from them. So
Yeah, we are not allowed to like follow up if you do, but if you're hearing that they're not able to get through, that would be weird because it's only the two of us and we get everything, but let us know.
okay.
Did you have a question as well, ma'am?
I did, well, it's not a question, it was actually more like a response for the gentleman in the board.
Where?
Yeah, you were talking about legal services throughout the United States, right? If you go to va.gov, you can actually type in, or you can just Google VA legal services, and each state, it varies depending on what they have available in that state, but there are VA lawyers who can help with various things. We don't have one unfortunately from Washington with the VA. I'm talking Fed VA, by the way, not state VA. But we do, so when we have our veterans that are in Idaho or Alaska as part of our visit as well. So we refer them to legal aid that's in their state, right, for their issues, and it's free of charge.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. The thing is, it's at the court level that they're not following the law that is actually written. And so it's causing, so what we're needing is a person, a voice for the veteran on the ground. Advocating.
Yeah, we just need more people, like for legal aid, we just need more people. Yeah, all right. Was there questions over here? Yep, yeah.
Do you have out-of-state accreditation? I know some issues that I sometimes deal with is that there's like out-of-state debts and their arrears, and typically what happens perhaps is be like the person negotiating collections, in my organization.
No, I can't give legal advice at all, but no, most attorneys are just in their one state. So if you need like advice in some other state for a veteran, look at thatlawhelp.org and find the legal aid organization in their state and send them there if they're eligible, which is usually for low-income vets, or just search like legal help that state and look for like a lawyer referral service or something like that.
Another problem I've noticed that they require them to be residents, so say, or at least it's mentioned.
Yeah.
That's so, that's where I'm like,
Yeah, we know. Yeah. We also run into that issue, and sometimes we just send them there and kind of hope for the best, honestly.
can do.
Yeah. We don't know how to get around that either. Yeah. All right, so provider feedback. This was not surprising based on essentially what everyone has been saying here. So one provider said, in my experience, the biggest issue is always access to help. It's difficult for older adult veterans or veterans with disabilities to access benefits and services without assistance. So 50 out of 192 categorized responses, when we asked veterans when we asked providers what the biggest unmet legal need was, they didn't say parenting plans or family law or VA benefits. They said just access to help, period. They said the ability to access any legal services at all was the biggest issue rather than a discrete legal issue, which was not surprising to us at all, having tried to deal with this system for, many years now. But, we know that vets in rural areas have a hard time getting through to services. We know that, pretty much every population for some reason has a difficulty getting through to services for some unique reason, and we know that that is an issue. All right, so now what? The title of this was originally "Everything Sucks." Now what? All right, getting help from OBLA. We have flyers too, so you don't have to write this down. We have flyers. Ian's holding up the flyers. They have the QR code on it, so you don't have to just have this. But getting help from OBLA. So first of all, we help veterans, service members, or their families, which includes spouses, surviving spouses, and children under age 21. I will say, if you're sending somebody to us that is a child who is under the age of 18, please don't. We have a youth tip line at the Attorney General's office that is for youth up to age 26, not for legal issues, but, and we do have resources for teen child and other resources for youth, but I don't think we've ever received a youth case, and I don't know what we would do with it, honestly. So if you have one, feel free to send it over, but think about it. Call us ahead of time, maybe. They have to reside in Washington, and their legal issue has to be in Washington. So we'll get veterans who say I've got a child support case in North Carolina. They all seem to be in North Carolina. I have a child support case in North Carolina, and I need legal help. We have to find a legal aid organization or somebody to help in North Carolina, because even if they live in Washington now, we can't advise. We can't find somebody to give them advice about North Carolina because the legal issue is outside Washington. Their income has to be at or below 500% of the federal poverty level. I should have included a table for what that is, but the income for what it is on our intake form for a family of 1 and a family of 4, and there's calculators all over the internet for what it is. So that is technically as a pilot through September, but I'm guessing that's probably going to stay the way it is. And then we can't help with criminal problems and no emergencies. I'll talk about this in a sec. If somebody has an emergency, if somebody has a hearing coming up really soon, if somebody's getting evicted, we are not the people to help. We cannot help. We can't give legal advice. So if somebody calls and says, I'm getting evicted tomorrow, I can't just tell them what to do. I can't tell them what to file. I can't tell them what to say to the judge. I'm not allowed to give legal advice. Like, I would love to be able to just say, here's what you have to do, but that would be telling somebody what to do, and I'm not allowed to do that in my role at the Attorney General's office. And so our lawyers can take several weeks to find a lawyer to get them help. So there's options for where you can go to get urgent legal advice. That is not us. We are better for options that people have a little bit more time. Yes.
I don't know. What if you have a vet that's working and living in Washington State, and the kids live in New York with mom or dad or whatever, but you can get Washington State to do child support through their job through Washington State, correct? Like, it doesn't have to go through New York, because remember, New York's cost
Yeah.
is like $1 bazillion. And then the pay scale in Washington's way less. You know what I mean? Like, I thought there was a way that you can do that.
Go through DSHS?
So you do.
Possible, yeah.
Well,
Child support, it's been a while since I've done child support, but it does, it's about like which state you have to do it in. But,
Yeah, like you can get your case transferred to Washington State, so that way you're not paying twice as much and earning less, you know.
yeah, and like getting a case transferred to Washington State is probably something we could give advice. Or we could give advice, but we could find something to give advice about. But if it's like, we had somebody who like lives here and the case is trying to get transferred from one state that is not here to another state that is not here because his ex-spouse is living in a state that is also not here. That is not what we cannot help with, or we cannot help with that one. Somebody else have a question over here? Okay.
Do you work with HUD program?
Do we work with HUD-Bash? Not directly, no. We would love to, but we just do not work with them at the moment, no.
Well, homeless veterans on the reservation can receive, get a house, once they get a house. Does the BASH program override any other travel programs, for example, in the hospital? You're looking for it, but if in fact you're supposed to be receiving, and you do receive BASH funding in order to pay for rent, especially some of these kids. What I'm trying to explain is I'm in a battle with Colorado Housing Authority in order to have them increase the utility line, which is supposed to be given when they're housing that receives federal funding. BASH and TANF, there's several programs, but the program.
There are separate processes, and one does not automatically override the other.
Argument, they claim that I'm now under the Nahasda project, I'm not under that. Well, that eliminates them from giving me an increase in every other than any other person that resides in Colorado housing. And there's hundreds and hundreds of houses, and they're not giving me proper utility lines. They do give me, even though they're not supposed to. You know, it's not argument. They're only giving every resident $75. Both of you rent for them. That amount is supposed to equal your basic.
Let's chat afterwards and we can give you our flyer to get a hold of us to try to see if we can get you some assistance, okay?
That's pretty deep.
Let's try to give you some help, but let's talk afterwards because it seems like it's kind of in the weeds.
It's very inviting.
Question over here.
So, because I know it's National Guard's up there, I work for the Washington Army National Guard. Where did you guys put up the flyers and stuff? The reason I'm asking, because one of the programs I manage, I have at least 15 cases out of them, which 3 unfortunately in the last 2 years, that was a big reason they committed suicide, was what you're talking about. Because they end up, again, eventually homeless and literally in my program. Where did you guys put the flyers up and stuff like that?
We sent them to Washington National Guard by email, I think. Is that? We tried.
We got a lot of bounce backs.
We got a lot of bounce backs from the military.
So
Like
you
all of
should send anything to the base PAO. That's who's gonna be
Okay.
able to send it out.
Yeah, that is a good thing to know, yeah. So
I
we,
can compete with you after.
yeah, it would be really good to have a National Guard contact. Yes, okay, that would be great. And yes, thank you, that's helpful. All right, so legal aid options in Washington. First of all is Northwest Justice Project. Caitlin is over there, you have questions about Northwest Justice Project. Largest civil legal aid in the state, manages the it's the coordinated legal education advice and referral hotline. They are the statewide hotline except for King County. Individuals can call it. It may take some time to get through. They can get advice, they can get referrals to their local legal aid organization. Local legal aid organizations. They provide help to local counties. They're often staffed by pro bono attorneys, although recently many of them have A, rebranded themselves. So many of them now have new names. And B, some of them now have staff attorneys on staff because it's been so hard to find pro bono attorneys over the last few years. Many have legal clinics in the community, and often they accept referrals only from CLEAR. So people have to get through to CLEAR to get a referral to local legal aid. You're seeing now why this is so frustrating for people. Law school legal clinics. They assist in really limited areas. They work with community agencies. There's 3 law schools in Washington, SU, UW, and Gonzaga. They all have different legal clinics. A new development, though, is that UW now has a veterans law clinic. That is as of January. Yeah, and they do discharge upgrades. They do discharge upgrades, and they're looking for clients. They're only in King County, though. Sorry, guys, they're funded by King County, but they're looking for outside King County cases as well. If you have any ideas for funding, so, but yeah, they're funded by King County. And then miscellaneous other programs, that includes us. Other programs exist often to assist specific populations like OMPLA or spill specific needs. So this includes things like Teen Child to help with education and youth issues. This includes the Northwest Immigrants' Rights Program, Office of Military and Veteran Legal Assistance, the Unemployment Law Project. There's groups that exist to serve a particular population or serve a need that has come up that isn't being served by other groups. All right, one place that we found recently is called Care Connect Washington, and we have found that it is a really good place to find legal clinics in particular, because it is a really, it's run through 211, but it's great to sort and find legal resources. You can filter by city, state, zip, county, use your location. It uses like natural language or plain language categories to find stuff. So like, I need food, I need legal help. So people can find resources easier there. We can find resources easier. It has a category for services that serve veterans who have a less than honorable characterization of service or discharge. We have found it really helpful because it has clinics that we didn't even know about. Like the Kent Library has an estate clinic, for example, that we didn't know about. Pacific County has clinics that we did not know about, things like that. We found it really great. We've been using it a lot recently. Washington Law Help. That looks a lot better than I thought it was going to. I wasn't sure how to plug. Washington Law Help It is the Washington State's Public Law Library, has a ton of free legal information. It is like the best resource in Washington to go for legal information. I've used it for my own legal issues when my landlord was being a jerk a couple years ago, for example. I've used it, it's great. They have these walkthrough guides that we love for like how to write a power of attorney document, for example. They're like TurboTax. You go through, you type in all your information, then it spits out the form that you have that you either like get notarized for a power of attorney or you take to the court and file for divorce or child support. They're fantastic. And they're adding new stuff every day. They just redid their website. There's information about 20 different areas of civil legal law with sub-issues under every single one of these. So things like there's a divorce guide that includes just pretty much information about every possible area of divorce. There is information about how to respond to a debt collection lawsuit with a walkthrough guide about responding to a debt collection lawsuit. There's information about bankruptcy. There's information just about pretty much most legal issues, with veterans issues being a fairly gigantic gap there.
Yeah, and for an old guy, I've used some of the forms that are actually easy to use. So, yeah, don't be afraid of it, they're good.
He can do it, anybody.
That's right.
Hey, I wasn't gonna say it.
The only one thing, they did add a will this year, but it's a simple will. And so for a lot of people, if you have a house and belongings and stuff, it may or may not work. But for a lot of older people, maybe that are just living in an apartment and stuff, it would be a real easy will. Just remember, state of Washington, you have to have your signature witnessed by 2 people and notarized. You can actually write on a scrap piece of paper and do that, it's still good.
The VA has advanced directives as well.
Yes.
And if you don't get it notarized, then it's just good for the VA, but if you do it notarized, it's.
Now, your advanced director, medical power of attorney must be notarized. Just sign it.
No, the advanced directive of the VA has to be signed by 2 people,
Oh, okay.
and then if you wanna use it for other than the VA, you have to have it notarized.
The VA also has a list of programs that I haven't actually tested to see if the like free programs are still free, but they have a list of programs where veterans get gigantic discounts for wills. So I would be interested to know if this actually works for people, if you ever use them, or if they're helpful. Chris, I volunteered you for this.
No, I do it for free in Skagit County all the time.
All right, so it's mobile friendly, it's accessible. Clients can listen to the guides. They have reading the guides now. Got a problem with vet with a problem outside Washington? Try Law Help. It's got a database. Washington Law Help also includes a database to search for local legal aid organizations. Let's see. If you have a person that has an eviction, don't tell them to call us. Seriously, please don't tell them to call us. We can't help, and it's really stressful because then we have to try to figure out how to get them help very quickly. We have a statewide eviction defense hotline. There's housing justice projects in many of the courthouses. There's information on Washington Law Help. We know these situations suck. They are the worst situations. We know they're terrible. But having them call us does not improve the situation because we can't do anything. We can't give them advice. We're just going to send them to a different place. So if you're sending them somewhere, send them to this. Send them to the eviction defense hotline. I said a lot of important stuff today, but seriously, please just send people to the eviction defense hotline. We know there's a ton of evictions going on right now in the state. All right, questions?
I don't have a question, I just let you know about another resource. For Sullivan County at least, I know this to be true, the University of Idaho does a law welcome clinic, and they let Washington residents go.
I know they do. They use our flyer that we sent them.
It works. I send people there all the time.
Yes, I'm very glad they're still doing it.
Is there any way, you said you can't give us feedback on a specific person asking for help, but could you give us feedback on how many people in our counties?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people refer out other than me, or for veteran services.
Yeah.
and their families, but
Yeah.
I'd be interested in be able to share that with our commissioners and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that.
Ian can tell you that finding data is my favorite thing in their world. Shown by this whole report. I'm not even being sarcastic. I love being able to do our data analysis and like tell you exactly where people are coming from for Skagit County. So yeah, happy to. Ian is running this.
And we're working with probation to finally get our veterans court going and hopefully drag some money from Rick Larson. And that way if their alternative court goes under, we'll still have our veterans court because it'll be funded. We're working on that.
Ian has flyers that Ian's gonna stand by the door with flyers. If you want one. We have many more too, so if they run out, we have more. All right. I will be around for questions if anybody has any questions, and I think